Alles begann mit EP 000001. Hinter dieser nüchternen Abkürzung verbirgt sich das erste Patent, das nach dem Europäischen Patentabkommen registriert wurde. Es ging dabei, und das klingt erstaunlich aktuell, um eine thermische Wärmepumpe. Seitdem sind über 2,2 Millionen europäische Patente hinzugekommen, für lebensrettende Medikamente genauso wie für Halbleiter oder sogar Nahrungsmittel. Die beeindruckende Zahl an Patenten zeigt erstens, mit welch großem Fleiß und welcher Einsatzfreude Sie, die Mitarbeiterinnen und Mitarbeiter des Europäischen Patentamts, ihrer Arbeit nachgehen. Herzlichen Dank dafür. Und zweitens steht diese Zahl für die ungebrochen große Innovationskraft und Wettbewerbsfähigkeit Europas. Das Europäische Patentamt hat sich dabei immer als Treiber für Innovation und Wachstum verstanden. Und der Erfolg gibt Ihnen recht. Mit nur einer einzigen Patentanmeldung können Erfinderinnen und Erfinder in bis zu 44 Staaten mit einem Markt von rund 700 Millionen Menschen Patentschutz erlangen. Patentintensive Industrien spielen eine zentrale Rolle für den europäischen Außenhandel. Allein in Deutschland, das sich als Patentnation versteht, tragen diese Unternehmen zu rund einem Viertel der Wirtschaftskraft bei. 1/6 der Arbeitnehmerinnen und Arbeitnehmer sind dort beschäftigt. Deshalb bin ich sicher, dem Europäischen Patentamt geht die Arbeit nicht aus. Ganz im Gegenteil. Die klimaneutrale Zukunft gelingt uns mit mehr Innovationen hier in Europa und weltweit. Die nötigen Investitionen in Forschung und Entwicklung aber hängen ganz maßgeblich davon ab, dass geistiges Eigentum effektiv geschützt wird. Wirklich gute Nachrichten sind daher das Europäische Einheitspatent und das Einheitliche Patentgericht, das es seit dem 1. Juni diesen Jahres gibt. Gerade kleine und mittlere Unternehmen, öffentliche Forschungseinrichtungen und Universitäten werden von den einfacheren Verfahren und geringeren Kosten des Einheitspatents profitieren. Und dank des Einheitlichen Patentgerichts wird sich unser Umgang mit den Patenten weiter angleichen. Das Europäische Patentübereinkommen steht also nicht nur für 50 Jahre Schutz von geistigem Eigentum, von Technologien und Innovationen, sondern zugleich für 50 Jahre des Zusammenwachsens in einem geeinten Europa. Herzlichen Glückwunsch und schönen Dank für alles, was Sie in diesen 50 Jahren für Europa geschafft haben.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz lost his usual coolness over a fierce exchange about energy costs in Germany's lower house of parliament on Wednesday. The budget debate got heated as the leader of the main opposition party, the Christian Democrats, accused Scholz and its coalition partners of failing the German people amidst an energy crunch and soaring inflation.
Don't underestimate our country. Don't underestimate the citizens of this country. And while CDU-led ministries found it no problem at all that the storage facilities for gas in this country were empty last year, we made sure that this changed with laws and regulations that we put in place. They didn't even manage in the opposition to blame their own failure as a problem on the new government. We had already solved it before they even realized that there was one. That's the truth we need to talk about.
The Chancellor countered that it was CDU's Angela Merkel's government who left Germany in a precarious position, accusing her administration of actively blocking the development of renewables. Just on Sunday, Scholz presented a third relief package worth 65 billion euros, which is intended to reach as many Germans as possible. Among other things, an electricity price break is planned, which will provide consumers with a fixed amount of electricity at a price capped by the state. In neighbouring Austria, the Conservative Green Coalition passed regulations on electricity price breaks, which will come into force in December and should relieve households until June next year. According to this, the electricity price will be capped at 10 cents per kilowatt hour, and it could bring households a relief of about 500 euros per year.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, we catch up with you here in South Africa, your last stop on your first Africa trip. You started in Senegal, you went on to Niger. Your predecessor, Angela Merkel, put a focus on Africa. What does it feel like for you now to touch down here for the first time as German Chancellor?
Africa is the continent next to Europe, and it is of essence that we work intensely to have very good relations with all the states in Africa. And also it is important that we develop our relations with all the democratic states on the globe. Democracy, the rule of law, questions that are important for us are not just something that is linked with the so-called Western countries. It's also very important if we look at all the countries in the world. So South Africa is a democracy, Senegal, Niger, and this is why I visited them and why I think it is important that we continue to work together, saying that the world has a good future if we cooperate, if we understand that there will be a lot of very relevant states in the future, in the 50s of this century, and that we should now make it feasible that there is a good cooperation, that we can create a multilateral world.
Now, the shadow of the Ukraine conflict looms large here. This is Europe being very much busy with itself. There's a war in Europe. And at the same time, here many countries, particularly those that you visited, are set to feel the brunt of the effects. There's a looming hunger crisis, fuel shortages, fertilizer shortages. What responsibility does Germany feel to save countries that have nothing to do with this conflict from the effects?
First, Russia invaded Ukraine, started a brutal war against a neighbor country, and so it is important that we stick together to give the Ukraine the chance to defend itself, its integrity, its sovereignty. And this is also important for peace on the globe. We should agree that there should never again be a successful attempt to change borders with force. And this is what Russia is trying to do, and this is why we cannot accept this, and this is why so many countries are supporting Ukraine with financial means, with weapons also, and we developed a sanctions regime against Russia to convince the Russian leadership that they should go away from the war, that they should start negotiations with the Ukraine, and that they withdraw the troops from Ukraine territory where they invaded the country. And on the other hand, it is obvious that a lot of countries are suffering from this war and from the Russian aggression, and this is why we are very decided that we will help the countries that are suffering. This is why we started to cooperate in fighting against all the consequences of having not enough food, of supporting the countries with their own economic difficulties they have. And this is why we also speak about how we can work together in this very difficult crisis. But the best thing to do is ending the war, and if Russia stopped its aggression and would be ready for a peace, this would be the best for the whole globe.
What concrete assistance can countries like, for instance, Sudan, Somalia, Niger expect?
We are working on supporting the World Food Programme, and we are starting together an initiative against the shortages that are coming up now, and we will work together with the countries on a global level together with the United Nations, and this is what we are trying to convince all other countries that have the means to do so to do together with us.
Your Trade Minister, Robert Habeck, also spoke about a US-EU initiative to lower fuel prices worldwide. Can you flesh that out a bit?
We will have a very difficult situation if we look at fuel prices. Obviously, this will be not feasible to subsidize them down, and even not on a global level. But it is necessary that we start to increase the supply with gas, with fuel, with all the things to make it feasible for the countries to pay for their bill.
So how will you get fuel shortages off the table, reduce prices?
We are now discussing